Hey, I'm Hunter from SkillThrive, and in this video, you'll learn how to write the HTML for the landing page that we designed in Figma from the last video. You can find the code and prototype files linked below in the description. With that, let's jump in. Right now I have Visual Studio Code open, which is the code editor that I like to use and the one that we're going to be using in this tutorial. So if you want to follow along with me in Visual Studio Code and don't have it, go ahead and download that. I'll link it in the description and then go ahead and open that. Now feel free to use any code editor you want. You don't have to use Visual Studio Code, but I am going to use some extensions. So with that said, let's talk about some of the extensions that you should go ahead and install. And the first one is going to be called HTML Boilerplate. So if we type that in here into the extensions, you can see this first one. We can go ahead and click on that and then click on install. Right now I already have it installed. That's why I have the uninstall option. And the last one we're going to be using is Live Server, which is a really popular one. And again, just come in and install that. All right, so now that you have that, what we're going to do is we're going to come into Terminal and then click on New Terminal. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and use the terminal to create our project folders. Now in my previous videos, I would just do this from the desktop, which feels a little bit more comfortable, especially if you're a beginner, but it's also really important to get comfortable with the terminal because you're going to be using it a lot more. And as you progress, you're going to find that you actually like working in the terminal more. All right, so the first thing we want to do is go into the desktop. So we'll type CD and then desktop. And then we want to make a directory, and this directory is going to be the name of our project. I'm going to call this travel app. And then we need to CD or go into the travel app. And then we need to create the folders that we need. So the first one's index.html. So we do, to create a file, we do touch. So then again, touch, styles.css. And then I'm going to make a directory for images. And if we do ls, we're going to print everything that is in this folder. And what we need to do now is we can just use code dot, and then that's going to open this project while we're in the folder in Visual Studio Code. Now you will need to set this up in order for it to work on a Mac, and I'll be sure to link that below, but it's really simple. You just have to do one simple thing. And once you do that, click enter, and then Visual Studio Code opens up our project here. All right, so let's go ahead and maximize this screen. And before we move on, I do want to go ahead and drop the images here in this folder. So let's come in and come into the image folder here. And I'm just going to select the background and the SVGs and the other images and just drag them over here and then paste them in. Okay, and then we can come into our HTML and start actually writing our HTML. Now, I told you to install the HTML boilerplate. So once you install that, you can just type in HTML. You'll see this boilerplate pop up. So just click that and you get this, boilerplate code, which is, you don't know, it's just kind of some starter code. It's code that you would always write when you're doing a, creating a new HTML file. But this just gives you the starter so you don't have to write it every single time. And what you want to do first is you can come in and just create a description here for this meta tag. And just going to just type that out. And then we need to come into this link where we're going to import our style sheet. And then we can just go ahead and get rid of this and start writing the HTML. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a main tag here. And inside this, we're going to create a header. And in the header, we're going to have a nav. And the first thing in the nav is going to be an image tag, which is going to be our logo. So we'll give that a class of logo and then go ahead and import that here. So we'll do images, be images / logo SVG. And then go ahead and close up that image tag. Then I'm going to create a div, and on that class, I'm just going to call that links. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a link here. And this link isn't going to link to anything, so that's why I'm going to just fill it with a dummy link here with the hashtag. And the name of this link is about. So let's just go ahead and copy that, and then paste that in 2 times. actually, no, we just need to do it one more time. And on this one, we can call this one docs. Last, I'm going to create a button. Give that a class equal to button underscore medium. Now, you don't have to do underscore. This is just a naming convention that I like to do, but feel free to do whatever you like. And then we can give this an href as well to just a dummy link. And we want this tag, or excuse me, this button to have the text of login. So let's go ahead and save that. And now that we have some content here, let's actually boot up live server so we can see this in the browser. And to do that, we just come over to the index file here, right click, and then open with live server. And that's going to open this here into our browser. And let's go ahead and resize this so we can see the code and the browser. So I'm just going to move this to the left and then go ahead and click here to hide this and then continue writing the code. All right, so that's everything for the header. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a section here. And this section is going to have a class of info. And let's go ahead now and put the hero font. So we're going to do class hero font. All right, so now we have that, we can save it and see that updated in our browser. And the next thing we want to do is create a new div here. And this div is going to hold our icons. So we'll give that a class name of icons. And we'll go ahead and create a new div for each icon. So we'll call that icon. And the first thing we want to do is have an image. And this image is going to have a source equal to the first icon that we want to pull in, which is going to be the pin SVG. And then we can just go ahead and close that. And the next thing we want to do is I want to create another div. And this div is just going to hold the actual content here for this icon section. So what we want to do is just want to call this class, I'm going to call it icon info. And I'm going to use a p tag here. And this p tag is going to have a class of icon top. And it's going to have the local as its first top value. And then we can do another p tag here. And this is going to have or be named icon bottom. And then that is going to have insights. So let's just go ahead and save that so we can see that updated here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this icon info. I'm going to paste it 2 times so we have the 3 icons that we want. And all I'm going to do here is just change the text and then pull in different image tags. Now I actually pasted the wrong thing. I pasted icon info, but we need to do the entire icon here. So let's go ahead and back up and then copy this entire icon class and then paste that 2 times. All right, there we go. And then we can go ahead and just change some of these values here. And I made a typo. This should actually be popular cities, the first one. This one's local insights. And then this one is actually, let's go back into Figma. I think I made a typo here. So let's come into this. Amazing guides. Okay. All right, so now that we have that completed, we can go ahead and move on to the next section. So we'll come over to where this section ends. We will create a new section here. We'll call this one features. Go ahead and close that out. And the first thing we want to do is we want to create a div, and I want to call this just feature. And on each feature, we're going to have an image. So this is very similar to what we did above. So that's going to be image. And on the source, we're going to pull in the traveler image. And then we want to, again, create another class that's going to hold the content of this section. We'll call this feature info. So kind of stay consistent to what we were doing above. And here we're doing another p tag. Call this one feature top. And I'm actually just going to come in and copy the text here from Figma. And on this one, we want another p tag, but this one's going to be feature bottom. And I already copied that, and I can just paste that in. And then we want to copy this feature section. I'm going to paste it twice because we have 3 sections here. This last one's going to be a little different, but we'll worry about that in just a second. And on this one, we want to pull in, I can't remember the name of the file. It is Traveler Guide. And let's go back into Figma and just copy this text as well, and just go ahead and paste that into where it needs to go. All right, so let's go back into the browser and let's go ahead and save our index file. All right, so we can see everything pulling in. And we have, a duplicate here that we need to fix. And on this one, we're actually just go ahead and get rid of the image tag because we don't need that. And let's go ahead and just get rid of these as well, because we're just going to actually just get rid of the first p tag. And then this one, we're going to change the class to feature CTA for call to action. And that's just going to have our learn more text. All right, so after we save that, you can see that we have now all the content we need for this actual website. Now we just need to write the CSS in order for it to look the way that we actually designed it in Figma. So with that said, I'll see you in the next video where we'll write the CSS for this project.